Hello, I'm ANEKA from Made to Sew and welcome to this short video where I'm going to be showing you how to use pinking shears to finish the edges of your fabric and to help to prevent them from fraying. Now, if you are creating a product or a garment, I would recommend that you actually sew the seams together first prior to trimming them with pinking shears. That's simply because when we trim it with pinking shears, we are going to be reducing the seam allowances. If the seam allowances are important, such as in a garment, you're then going to end up with a potentially smaller garment. So I'd always recommend sewing first and then using the pinking shears. Let me show you how. Now you're going to want to actually sew your product together first, using the seam allowance that's required when you're making the product. And then press the product in the way that you want it to be. So I've pressed my seam allowances open. You might be pressing them towards one side. It really depends on what you're making. Then you will grab your pinking shears. And what I'm going to be doing with these is I'm going to be pinking along the edge here. And this is why it's important that you sew your product together first, because by cutting this with pinking shears, we will be trimming off some of the seam allowance. Now you're going to want to make sure that you don't cut the rest of the product. So you're going to want to sort of fold everything else out of the way. You're welcome to cut the two of them together, or you can cut them separately. It's really up to you. Most of the time I will cut the two of them together so that they are symmetrical. And then using my pinking shears, I'm going to come in and cut like so. Now, it doesn't really matter how much you trim off. You're going to want to trim a reasonable amount off so that you get a nice finish. So I'm probably trimming off a bit more than an eighth, so about 3 to 4 millimeters, I would imagine. Now, the real tip that I have with pinking shears here is to get a nice neat finish is that I line up the previous cuts with the pinking on the blades so that I'm continuing on and I'm having a really nice neat finish, ideally cutting the same off all the way along, making sure that I'm not cutting the rest of my garment. And again, I'm lining up the previous cutting with the pinks on the scissors. Open up your seam. You can give it another press now if you want to. Most of the time I will try and press everything before I pink it, because by taking it to the iron and giving it another press, certain fabrics can be more prone to fraying. And there you have it. That is how you use pinking shears to finish your seam allowances or the edges of fabric. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial.